in Sousse today. Well, we're going to talk now to Graham Scott, who was staying at that hotel where Ola was there in Sousse with his parents and cousin at the time of the attack. And Graham joins us from Northampton. Graham, thanks very much for coming in. I'm just wondering, how difficult is it for you and the family for reports of these inquests and then the outcome today?
It's been quite difficult, you know. We've been following it because obviously we've been part of it, and some of the stuff that's been coming out has obviously affected us with obviously reliving some of the events that we actually see on that day.
It was a pretty strongly worded verdict, wasn't it, from the coroner, especially when they were talking about the conduct of police and security services. Did that kind of strike a chord with you?
At the time, when the actual gunshots first happened, it seemed ages before anybody actually took any notice of us. You know, I ended up down in the cellar with my parents. We were separated from my cousin, and the only form of contact we had was that there was a knock on the door over a period of time to say, "It's police, it's safe to come out." Obviously we didn't know that it was police. Obviously the door was opened, and there was a guy standing there in civilian uniform. Luckily there was somebody there that actually said, "Have you got any ID on you?" They showed us the ID and we were led out to safety up into the foyer of the hotel. So it took ages for that to happen though.
And your cousin, what happened to him?
My cousin ended up in another part of the hotel, next floor up. We actually were separated. When we were all allowed to meet up with one another, there was obviously myself, my mum and my dad. We were actually in the reception area, and what a relief it was when we actually see our cousin come around the corner.
I'm sure it was, to say the least. I'm just wondering then, you were still at the hotel, still having to stay in the vicinity, and I'm imagining that, you know, you were still seeing evidence of this dreadful attack that had happened.
Yeah, it was very eerie. We were allowed up to our hotel room eventually to obviously try to be together. We ended up going in one room and we were barricading the door in because we didn't know whether we was really safe. You know, I thought personally at the time there was more than one gunman. Obviously that has never been proven either way. But looking over the balcony at all the sheer troubles that we'd see, you know, obviously with bodies lying around, and that was so sad for us to, you know, see.
We spoke to the Tunisian ambassador earlier, Graham, who said, look, of course there were failings in some of the things that happened. He said that, you know, the security forces simply weren't prepared for this kind of attack. That was the way he put it. But he was really keen to say that many, many improvements had been made since then, and that it was much safer now. What is your sense of that and the kind of case that the Tunisian government is making?
What I would like to see personally, and it's my own personal opinion, is that we actually went to Mallorca last year on holiday, and some of the security aspects there, because obviously we were on high alert, jumped out at us. With regards to Tunisia, I would like to see the government, the tour operators and the countries get together, sit down and say, this is what we need to reassure people travelling that we're doing what we can to make the country safe.
And then in relation to the kind of advice, the official advice you get from, let's say, the Foreign Office, for example, when you think back a few years and when you think about the quality of advice now, do you think that that's better focused in any way?
I think it still needs improving. I think we all need to know. It's like Gambia, you know, we were told not to travel to Gambia the other week. That's the sort of statement people want to know just to protect themselves from travelling. It's not going to change the fact that obviously there was people that lost their lives, and dear people that obviously families we've actually met recently that have lost loved ones there. When
you booked the holiday to Tunisia, did you at any point think, oh, there might be some kind of risk because of the part of the world it's in?
Not really, no, because obviously we'd been there the 5 years on the trot, and we'd had some fantastic holidays. We'd laid around the pool in the same place every year. We got to know people, we got to know the waiters, we had fun on the beach, going up paragliding. There was never that sort of factor in our minds that anything would happen.
And just a final point, Graham, do you think it's right to be pursuing TUI, the company, because you know, we've heard today from some of the lawyers that there'll be some legal action. What are your thoughts on that?
To a degree, there's some sort of investigation out, because obviously we as travellers, we were travelling with the likes of Thompson, Thomas Cook, TUI, and obviously we were their customer. I would expect that obviously Thompson's and Thomas Cook would perhaps work closely together with the countries, and perhaps together to make sure things are tightened up in the countries.
Graham Scott, it's very good of you to come in to talk to us today, and thanks very much.
Thank you.
Graham Scott there for us, talking about experiences in Tunisia after the outcome of the inquest today.